Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet Theory Session 7 of Acids, Bases and Salts. In our previous session, we discussed about the method of preparation, properties and uses of bleaching powder and sodium bicarbonate. In this session, we will be discussing about method of preparation, properties and uses of sodium carbonate and plaster of Paris. Now the sodium carbonate decahydrate. What is it, students? It is Na2CO3 10H2O. That is your washing soda, which we are using for washing purposes. Okay. Now the sodium carbonate exists as anhydrous Na2CO3. Anhydrous means there is no water molecule attached to it, and it is known as what? Soda ash. Right, children? Now the decahydrate salt is known as washing soda. Fine. Now let's see its methods of preparation. How we can prepare washing soda. The method by which washing soda is prepared is ammonia soda process, or it is also called as Solvay process. Right? Now what is done in this Solvay process is cold and concentrated solution of sodium chloride brine. I have told you aqueous solution of sodium chloride is called as brine. Is reacted with ammonia and carbon dioxide to produce sodium hydrogen carbonate. Clear, students? So it is producing what? Sodium hydrogen carbonate first. This sodium hydrogen carbonate is also called as what? Sodium bicarbonate, right? That is NaCl aqueous, that is with H2O. It is reacted with what? Carbon dioxide and ammonia, and what all it gives is ammonium chloride and sodium hydrogen carbonate. Right? Now let's see, we have got sodium hydrogen carbonate solid in our hand. How can we prepare sodium carbonate from this? Sodium hydrogen carbonate produced is filtered and dried. Right? On heating sodium hydrogen carbonate, what happens? On heating, sodium hydrogen carbonate decomposes, forming sodium carbonate, water and carbon dioxide. That is, we have taken sodium hydrogen carbonate. How we have obtained this? We have obtained this by the action of so your sodium hydrogen carbonate form is decomposed into sodium carbonate, water and carbon dioxide. Right? The sodium carbonate formed is called as what? Soda ash. This is not our washing soda, remember. Now what we will do to prepare washing soda? This anhydrous sodium carbonate is dissolved in water and recrystallized, forming washing soda. That is, this is anhydrous sodium carbonate, this is dissolved in water and it undergoes recrystallization to form sodium carbonate and 10H2O. Now children, what is the formula of sodium carbonate? It is Na2CO3 and not NaCO2. So, I'll put it here, Na2CO3 10H2O. Now what we have got is Na2CO3 10H2O, that is sodium carbonate decahydrate. This is the way how your sodium carbonate or washing soda is prepared. Right? Now let's see its properties. Or when on heating, the decahydrate salt gradually loses water to give anhydrous soda ash or anhydrous sodium carbonate, which is called as soda ash. Right? Now this is washing soda. Here there are 10 molecules of water. If I am heating it to 373 Kelvin, what I will get is sodium carbonate with 1 molecule of water. That is a white powder which is a monohydrate. Am I clear? Now above 373 Kelvin, what happens? This loses this water molecule also and it forms anhydrous sodium carbonate or soda ash. Right, students? Now let's move to the properties of sodium carbonate. How it is. Washing soda is a transparent crystalline solid. The washing soda which we are getting, that is washing powder, there are lots of things mixed in it. But actual washing soda is transparent crystalline solid. Clear? Now the solution of washing soda in water is alkaline. Why it would be alkaline, students? I am taking Na2CO3. Okay, this is washing soda. So your Na2CO3, how it will dissociate? It will dissociate forming Na plus CO3 2 minus, right? Now this 2Na plus formed here will react with 2 hydroxyl ions from water and will form what? 2NaOH. From where this hydroxyl ion has come? Water dissociates forming H plus of OH minus ion. Right, students? So this hydroxyl ion reacts with what? Sodium ions and forms what? Sodium hydroxide. So that is why its solution in water is alkaline. Clear? It has cleansing properties. It attacks dirt and grease to form water soluble products which are then washed away on rinsing with water. Right? That is your grease or oil, whatever are the stains in the clothes. What happens that they are not water soluble. That is why it cannot be removed. But once the sodium carbonate is there, what it will do is it will remove or convert that greasy particle into a water soluble substance. Clear? Now that will be washed away while rinsing. Okay? Now let's take up its uses. That is, it is used for the manufacture of glass. It is used for washing purposes in laundries and as a household cleansing agent. Okay? It is used for the manufacture of other sodium compounds like sodium silicates, sodium hydroxide, borax and hypo. You know what is the formula of sodium silicate? I told you in my previous session that sodium silicate, as the name indicates, it contains what? Sodium. Silicate is silica, that is Na2SiO3 is sodium silicate, right? Sodium hydroxide and borax and hypo solution, right? That is hyposulfite solution. Now it is also used for softening of water as it removes the hardness of water. Students, how it can be used to soften water? Why water is hard? Water is hard due to the presence of carbonates, due to the presence of bicarbonates or chlorides or sulfides, right? Now, if your hard water is treated with sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3, if that hardness is of calcium chloride, this is a permanent hardness which cannot be removed by boiling, right? So, what will be formed? What will be the products formed here, students? It would be 2NaCl plus of calcium carbonate. Okay? Now, when the water is boiled, this calcium carbonate settles down. Okay? So, why this sodium carbonate is used? This is used for softening water, for removing the permanent hardness. What else is the permanent hardnesses of? It can be of magnesium chloride also. Right? These are not removed by just boiling. You know, students, water hardness is of two types: temporary hardness and permanent hardness. So temporary hardness can be removed by boiling water. But the permanent hardness, which is due to your calcium chloride or magnesium chloride or their respective sulfates, cannot be removed by just boiling. So they are treated with sodium carbonate, and where it forms salt and CaCO3. NaCl is of course soluble and calcium carbonate will settle down. Right? This is also used in textile industry and petroleum refining. Okay. So now let's move to our next compound, that is plaster of Paris, CaSO4 half H2O. Now children, CaSO4 half H2O, it would have been better written here as CaSO4 and half H2O. You must have seen plaster of Paris statues or the interiors of houses. They are all made up of POP. Those false ceilings all are made up of POP. Now how this POP is obtained? Calcium sulfate henihydrate is called as plaster of Paris or POP. Heni means half of water molecule. It is prepared from gypsum, which was mainly found in Paris. Right. So from where this name came, plaster of Paris, that is from gypsum. Gypsum was mainly found in Paris. Right. Now how can we prepare this? Plaster of Paris is prepared by heating gypsum. Gypsum is CaSO4 2H2O at 100 degrees centigrade in rotary kilns. Now what do you mean by rotary kilns? Rotary kilns, students, these are the special types of furnaces which can withstand high temperature. They have got inner lining of bricks or silica, right? So that it can withstand high temperatures. Am I clear? Now here, what happens to gypsum? Gypsum is CaSO4 2H2O. Now what will happen to gypsum? It gets partially dehydrated. Let's just focus on the word partially. It's not complete dehydration. It is partial dehydration. Right? Had it been complete, so what would have been the product? CaSO4. That's it. This is partially dehydrated. That is, it loses 3/4 of its water of crystallization and forms plaster of Paris. Right? Here, CaSO4 2H2O, it is heated 100 to 120 degree temperature. We are getting plaster of Paris and 1.5 molecules of water. Right, students? Now, the temperature should not be kept below 100 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, it should be above 100 degrees centigrade, not below, above. It should not be kept above 100 degrees centigrade, or that is 100 or 120 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, further dehydration will take place, forming anhydrates of calcium sulfate. If further dehydration takes place, what will happen, students? This will 100 degrees centigrade. Now, if further dehydration takes place, what will happen? All the water molecule will be lost. Right? And what you will get is dead burnt plaster. And it would be of no use. Is my point clear? So gypsum, which is found in Paris, is heated to 100 degrees centigrade in rotary kilns, forming calcium sulfate, half of H2O, that is plaster of Paris, and 1.5 water molecules. Right? This temperature should not be kept above 100 degrees centigrade. Why? Because further dehydration will take place and it will form what? Anhydrates of copper sulfate. and that is called a dead burnt plaster, and it will be of no use for us. Right, students? So now let's take up the properties. Properties. It is a white powder. You must have seen plaster of Paris. It's a white powder, right? When mixed with water, 1/3 of its mass, right? It evolves when mixed with water. How much water? 1/3 of its mass. Whatever mass you are taking, say if you are taking 2 kg, you have to take water which is 1/3 of its mass, right? It evolves heat and quickly sets into a hard porous mass. So how these plaster of Paris statues are made, students? It is like this plaster of Paris is mixed with 1/3 of its water, and it is kept in the molds. And it molds, it settles, and it slightly expands also, so that it is taking up the shape of molds, right? So calcium sulfate, half H2O, that is plaster of Paris. Water is added in it, right? 1.5 water, and it sets up to form calcium sulfate 2H2O. That is gypsum orthorhombic dihydrate, and it's a very hard mass, right? So that plaster of Paris is mixed in water, and it is also applied for your false ceilings. Okay? Now, this is taking up 1.5 molecules of water. This doesn't mean that you're counting 1.5 water molecule. It is taking up, right? Now let's take up its uses. It is used in surgery for setting broken or fractured bones. You must have seen plaster, right? What your doctor does is it just fixes the bones and then covers it with plaster of Paris, so that there is no movement on the broken part of the bone, right? It is used for making casts for statues. It is also used in dentistry. Dentistry, these days doctors are implanting teeth. That is also made up of POP, or it is used for making casts for making that particular dentine or that teeth. It is also used for surgical instruments and toys, right? It is used for making blackboard chalks and statues. It is used for the construction of buildings and also for making their interiors. Those beautiful interiors are made of what? Interior or the false ceilings. Those beautiful false ceilings, they are made up of plaster of Paris, right? It is also used as a fireproof material. It doesn't catch fire. Once it is settled, it will not catch fire, right? Here it is used for making casts in dentistry, right? So these are the uses of plaster of Paris, students. So now we have completed this topic of acids, bases and salts, right? In this topic we discussed the physical and the chemical properties of acids. We discussed what are acids, why they behave as acids, because they lose H plus ions in solutions. That is why they are acids, right? We discussed various properties of acids, that is its action on metals, its action on carbonates, its action on sulfates, sulfides and metal oxides. So remember one thing, student, whenever an acid reacts with a metal, what is evolved is a hydrogen gas. When it reacts with a carbonate, carbon dioxide is evolved. When it reacts with sulfate or sulfite, sulfur dioxide is evolved, right? When it reacts with oxide, water is formed. So students, if you are able to remember the byproduct or the product which is formed, you can very well find out the formula of the salt formed, right? Then we also discussed the physical and the chemical properties of bases. That is why a particular compound has a basic property. This is because it loses what? OH minus ions in the solution, right? We discussed its reaction with different oxides, with acids and other compounds. Now you know students, not all the metals react with bases evolving hydrogen. There are only few metals like zinc. Okay, your zinc reacts with this thing, sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH. This reacts with zinc and it forms Na2ZnO2 plus of hydrogen. That is, this is sodium zincate. Right children? So these are not all the bases react with your zinc. What reacts is, not all the metals react with bases evolving hydrogen. Zinc evolves this hydrogen, right? Like your this thing, beryllium. Beryllium also reacts with bases forming sodium berylate. Aluminium reacts forming sodium aluminate and evolves hydrogen. Right? Your potassium hydroxide doesn't react with metals. So we discussed about their reactivities. We also discussed about pH. What is pH, students? pH is a measure of strength of acid or base. Strength means, how is the strength measured? Strength is measured by the concentration of hydrogen ions per ml in an acid, or the concentration of hydrogen ions per ml in a base. Right? P stands for potence. Potence the hydrogen, that is potential. Okay? So this is measuring the concentration in moles per liter. So what was pH scale, children? pH scale ranges from 0 to 14. Right? So the substances which have pH less than 7 are what? Acidic, and the one which has got pH above 7 are what? Bases. So this pH is a very, very important concept because it tells you whether a substance is acidic or basic, depending on which certain action can be taken. It is very, very important in agriculture. Elsewhere also it's very important. Right? Then we discussed about salts, that is their method of preparation and properties. The salts we discussed were sodium chloride, sodium carbonate, sodium hydrogen carbonate, calcium oxychloride and plaster of Paris. Right? Your sodium chloride is a common salt. Sodium carbonate is what? Anhydrous sodium carbonate is soda ash, and sodium carbonate decahydrate is a washing soda. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is sodium bicarbonate, or it is used in baking powder. So it is also called as baking soda. Right, students? Now we discussed about calcium oxychloride, that is, it's a bleaching powder. Why this bleaching powder has its bleaching property? Because of the presence of chlorine. This is very, very important. Right? And next was our plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris, why it is called? Because it is made up of gypsum which is found in Paris. Right? And it is hemihydrate of calcium sulfate. Right, students? So these are the salts. We also discussed about caustic soda or sodium hydroxide. Now coming to, I would like to discuss one point here, that there is sodium carbonate, right? This is soluble in water. But if I take another carbonates like calcium carbonate, like magnesium carbonate, they are insoluble in water. Remember that. Sodium carbonate is soluble, whereas group 2 carbonates like calcium carbonate, like magnesium carbonate, they are less soluble in water. Okay? So this was our theory session, our last theory session of acids, bases and salts. In the next session, we will be meeting for solving problems related to this topic. Right, students? So you go through the theory portion and so that you are able to solve the questions.